this is Colleen with Chats with Colleen, and we're so glad that you're here joining us today for our bi-weekly podcast edition. This week, we have Anoop Nayee, who's going to talk to us about some great mindset tools that he uses not only for himself, but to teach others how to grasp into their mind and how your mindset can really affect not only your general life, but your professional life, your spiritual life, and everything. And I think it's a perfect time right now because we're coming into the holidays and a lot of people are all caught up with the hustle and how fast everything's moving and getting gifts and work and just everything being so chaotic that it really can mess with your mind. So I think now is a great time for us to learn about mindset and why it's important and how it can gravitate us towards moving forward in a better way and a better light for ourselves. And as we approach the end of the year and get into 2026, I think it's really important to learn about that. And so Anoop is going to provide us with some great detail and some insight into this and how we can make this a part of our everyday life and how just it will become, natural after that. So I hope you enjoy it. Please like and share our podcast. And remember that our podcasts are about you, our guests. So if you would love to come on and book with us for 2026, we would love to have you. So please remember, it says about you. So please like and share and enjoy the show. Thank you. Hi, this is Colleen with Chats with Colleen, and we're so glad that you're here joining us today. And today I have Anoop Nayee, who's going to talk to us. It's going to be a two-part series, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself and his life and what he's into right now and how he can help others in their careers and how he can help others in their general life with some mindset info. So I'm really excited because I need that. I need help with both my career and my whole life. So Anoop, thanks again for taking the time to speak with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So your background is in roofing. Were you always in roofing or was it something that you got drawn into?
No, actually, I was in the service industry for a really long time. I was in a waiter, bartender, management. I moved up into management. I was a sushi chef off and on for a few years.
Neat.
So that's where I started, I guess, my career as an adult in service industry, and then eventually that led to roofing.
Oh, it's a smooth transition, but I see a lot of people who started in restaurant industries like myself. So I worked as a server, waitress for a long time. And then I did that and then I went into insurance. So it was kind of seamless, I didn't have too many jobs per se,
Yeah.
like I think most people. And so what first got you interested into roofing, or was it just like a convenient thing that came up for you?
Good question. It was while I was a waiter at a restaurant in Lake Mary, it's a Japanese restaurant, and some friends of mine got into roofing and they started a roofing business and approached me, after dinner, like, hey, come work for us. You'd be great. You're good with people, just honest. And so I thought about it and they planted the seed and it was a while before I started. I actually started in 2013. Um, I had a son on the way, and I realized that I just wanted to change careers and want to be there more for my kid, So the restaurant life had to go because, restaurant life, we get out really late and it didn't make sense for me to be the father I wanted to be, to stay in the restaurant business.
Exactly. So, changing into roofing, was it difficult for you? Like, was there anything that maybe you didn't make as much money as first or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a trend. It was an interesting transition. At first, I didn't, make the money I wanted to and what I saw everybody else doing. I looked at the old sales boards and I would see the guys all hitting millions of dollars in sales. And I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. I was good with people. I didn't really understand, I guess, the process of what we were doing. We did a lot of insurance restoration roofing. If there was storm damage to a home or business, that's what we were taught. And I think a lot of the early stages was like I was told, fake it till you make it, kind of like that motto and or model, and it helped me because I didn't fake it. I just had to learn. I didn't want to like tell people stuff I didn't know. So it forced me to really dive deep into learning more about insurance claims, roofing, how that works. And that's how I got good at it. And then that kind of led me into like marketing. I saw people in the company using like what realtors use, like sending stuff in the mail. And I really kind of gravitated towards that, and it really inspired me to like create my own type of marketing for myself. And that's what I did. And that kind of like I just took off. It was like perfect timing, divine timing. I did a lot of roofs before Hurricane Irma in 2017. Hurricane Irma hit the state of Florida, and all the marketing I sent out, just it was perfect. I made magnets with my face on it and explained what I did with a QR code, and it worked. I had like, for example, one client in the community Heathrow. She just like really put me on the map, and after that day, after that storm, my phone never stopped ringing. So it was a blessing.
Yeah, Hurricane Irma was a big storm.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what set, like, I think the insurance industry going up and then crashing, like
Oh yeah,
after that.
totally.
So I think a lot of homeowners don't see what goes into, roofing, getting a new roof. It's kind of, it seems easy. Oh, they just slap a roof on, but it's a lot more complicated than that. What do
Right.
you think is something that most people don't understand about that? Like what has to be
There's
done?
Yeah, there's a lot that people don't understand. I think it starts like when someone knocks on your door and they tell you and they promise you something, like you'll get a free roof or a new roof, and just file an insurance claim, and it starts right there. That's because that's where I was kind of like in that world. But explaining it correctly of how the whole process works, that's what makes it different. So like there's so much more involved when someone does file an insurance claim. Is it the right thing to do? Do they actually have the storm damage that, the person inspecting their home, the roofer is telling them, which I found worked really well for me because I've been brought up to be very honest, and so I trained myself to look very specifically for this type of storm damage, and it worked. And then the process is not just filing an insurance claim. Then you meet with the insurance adjuster and you have to show them the damage, and you see eye to eye, and that goes to a claims handler. They decide on coverage. And at that point, they decide on sending out a payment to the client. And so these are things like you have to really explain to people. It's not just, hey, you're going to get a new roof and it's done. That was my world. And then eventually you go into production and scheduling the project, being there hands-on, making sure the crews are, tidy, the house is, the area is clean. And because other people are watching you, you're on a stage, they're looking at what you're doing. So I realized, there's more to it than just, hey, you're getting a new roof. There's a process to it. And each step of the process was something I was really good at explaining to people, to make it a little easier and more kind of transparent for them.
Important because a lot of people don't have a clue of how long it takes,
Right.
especially with an insurance claim situation. It can take, months or years or,
Yeah.
hopefully not. And it's something that they have to prepare themselves for. And I'm glad that you were able to explain it to people, to make them a little bit more aware, because I think that's a
Yeah.
lot of problems that are with, other roofing companies and other roofers or, contractors. It's just like the communication is probably not so good.
Yeah, I agree. The more you can explain to somebody like the whole process,
Mhm.
I would set the right expectation. Like there's a chance the insurance company doesn't agree. What do you do after that? We don't just, I never left them high and dry. I would explain you have options. You could hire a public adjuster, you can hire a third party company, inspection company, you can hire a lawyer if you needed to.
Mhm.
Never pushing anybody towards these things, but if you explain it correctly and give them the options, then they kind of feel more they trust you. You know, they build trust in what you're doing, and it helps.
They're a little bit more at ease.
Right. Exactly.
So, what's a mistake that you see over and over with clients or contractors when it comes to changing their roof or replacing it?
What was that? I didn't hear the first part of it.
Oh, so what's a mistake that you see commonly
Yes.
happening over and over,
Okay.
with contractors or the homeowners?
With homeowners, the common mistake I see that didn't really sit well with me is when you're explaining the process and they understand if they're filing an insurance claim, I explain you have to pay your deductible. So the biggest common mistake for homeowners is,
Yes.
well, my neighbor got a free roof. They didn't pay their deductible. This roofing company said, you know, that it's a free roof, that they don't have to pay their deductible. They'll just put a sign in my yard and it'll work off like as a marketing credit. So that's a huge mistake for both the homeowner and also the contractor, because
Okay.
you're luring the client into an insurance fraud situation. You know, no matter what way you look at it,
Hmm.
it's not the right thing to do. So that's a common mistake on both sides. And there's actually there's a right way to explain that to someone and do it legally and professionally and handle that the right way. Which I love doing, because once I was able to explain that to somebody, they understood, and there's no such thing as a free roof. It just doesn't work. You know, somebody's paying for it. You know, whether you do pay insurance claims, but everybody understands, or should understand, just like when you're paying a copay for health insurance or you have to pay a deductible for a car claim, auto claim, it's the same thing. It doesn't make a difference. You know, it's the exact same thing.
It is the same thing. And I explain it to them all the time, but a lot of
Yeah.
people are like, no, no, it's not true. You don't have to.
Yeah,
So
it's
they
bad
were probably,
actors. It's the contractors. A lot of this stuff happened from contractors that came out of state. They're, you know, traditional storm chasers, and they're fly by night companies, and they created this kind of, you know, situation and thought process for homeowners here in Florida. But then you have, once it happens once in a community and everybody needs a roof because a storm hit, that just trickles on to the next person in the community. And I've had it happen with my own family. I've had family members tell me, well, my neighbor got a free roof. I don't want to pay my deductible. It doesn't work that way. Sorry. Like
right. And
you
even if,
have to do it.
yeah, you can't give people, it's not nothing free because, like you said, somebody has to pay for it. And then
Right.
if the state of Florida comes down on somebody, they're going to come down on the contractor, or
Right.
the, roofing company, and they're going to get fined or possibly worse. So
You
it's
can
not
lose your
worth it.
license. Absolutely. You
Yeah.
can lose your license. You can get flagged by DBPR. You can get fined.
Hmm.
A lot of times contractors have gotten in trouble for this. Um, and I'm sure homeowners have as well, but they're not as, you know, they're more lenient with homeowners. I think it should be like a leveled playing field if you know, people are going to get in trouble for these things, because then people will start to realize, all right, this is not the way it's supposed to happen, you know?
Right. They need to do better. Yeah, better education about that.
Right, right.
Have you ever had an extremely challenging project that you've ever had to work on?
Yeah, I've had quite a few. Um, I would say one of my most challenging projects was it's about a little over 10,000 square foot home. The roof was about almost 200 squares and it was tile. So the battle of just getting that approved through insurance was tough. Tile roofs are expensive. Insurance companies, even if you have the best one in the state of Florida, they will give you some pushback, right? You have to follow the process and show them what's wrong, why, and explain it. And I did. I was certified in tile roofs, so I was good at showing that documentation and showing them what's wrong and why the wind damage created what it did. But it was challenging because I got the roof approved for the client, and then the client kind of threw me a curveball and said they don't want to put a tile roof back on. They wanted to use this composite material, like 90% recycled material, where it felt like almost like a rubber, like, you know, rubber roofing system, looked just like shake and tile. But it was challenging, but I learned a lot. So I went and got certified by that company. It was actually called EnviroShake. They're out of Canada. And I met with the owners of the company. They came down because they saw an opportunity. It was a huge project. I told them I wanted to document it, record video and use that in marketing. So it worked out really well. I put in the time. I got certified by EnviroShake. I had one of their guys come down and actually stay on site at the client's house to help manage the project with me because I was new to this. And we had challenges along the way. I had a leak during this time. It started leaking in the middle of the night. It was, Central Florida. There's storms that come through all year long. And during the process, the roof wasn't complete, but it did start raining. It was about 2 a.m. My client calls me. He wasn't panicking. He's a very just calm guy, but he said, Nope, it's leaking. Water's coming in my son's room. I said, I'll be right there. So we showed up. We showed up in the middle of the morning, 2 a.m. with our headlights on and ready to go. We found the problem. It was a simple fix and it stopped leaking. We dried up the house and we just kept moving. We got that project done in perfect timing with all said and all things and challenges that came along the way. It was great. It was fantastic. I used it as a model house for for marketing. The client's very happy. Till this day, he still refers me to people in his community.
Wow. So did the material that he chose, was that something more sturdy or more like able to withstand wind or leaks than tile would be?
Yes, so tile's strong and it's heavy, but it doesn't protect you from water coming into your home. People don't understand that. Tile's porous. Water goes right through the concrete. Um, the what protects your home is the underlayment, what's underneath the tile. That's the water barrier that actually protects your house. So this material specifically, actually, water did not go through it. So yes, it would protect the home on top of the underlayment. And then the way you install it, it would absolutely be a very, very powerful roofing system when a category 3, 4 storm comes through. It's a really strong product. They were actually using this all throughout the Bahamas at all of the hotels. When I first started working with that company, they showed me all the hotel projects that they were doing because they were just getting blasted by storm after storm after storm, and they didn't want to keep putting tile back. It's expensive. And it's not easy to work with because it's so heavy. So they found a
Mhm.
solution, and I got to work with that product a few times, and it's awesome.
Wow. So is that more expensive than tile?
It was about the same.
Okay.
At that time, it was coming from Canada. We had to get it shipped into the US, so there was some challenges there, but it was more expensive. But there are products here in the US that are almost identical to it, and so we can use those as well.
They're similar. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really great. So I'm glad that that worked out and you were able to stop the leak and now he still refers other people. So
Yeah.
good. Do you have any war stories from the field, meaning anything where a project went horrible wrong, a homeowner went crazy, or all all the above?
I have, yes. I've
Mhm.
had a few situations. There's been times we had during the process, people, even if you explain it to them, they're gonna panic. So during the roofing project, like water gets in, like say it's sunny outside, the radar says there's no rain coming, but all of a sudden a quiet storm comes through and water will get in. So our guys are, prepped to have tarps on site and you just try to cover as much as you can safely. These guys are also they're on the roof and then all of a sudden it starts raining. That's a safety issue. So you have to make sure
Mhm.
you're doing it quickly, but also safely. And we've gone through that challenge before where it did start raining, water got in the home, people were panicking,
Right.
but we were able to cover it. Your house is insured we're insured. So during the whole process, we have to just reassure them like, look, if there's anything else that happens, we will fix it. We'll make sure the house is back in pre-loss condition. Don't worry, and just have to navigate through that. So yeah, I've been in situations like that. I've also been in situations where, well, I shut down my roofing company, as you know, Karma Roofing. I shut it down. It was my first business, just, business challenges, things that I wasn't expecting, and I really
Mhm.
learned from it. But one of the biggest challenges there was I had to finish a project for a client before I actually, shut the business down. So we were in a situation financially where I couldn't see a way out, and I had to like pay for the product up front. I no longer had credit with my suppliers. It was a mess. But I got through it. I promised the client I'll take care of this house just like it was my mother's. You know, it got pretty ugly. Her daughter was like, very upset about it. She said she was gonna trespass me. She doesn't want me on the property. I managed to figure this out with the blessings of, the God of God, and where we believe in was
Mhm.
looking after me. My family, my mom and dad helped. My father cashed out his 401k to help me like pay for this project. It was wild.
Wow.
But we did it. I knocked it out. I found a specific crew for this house to make sure everything was done correctly with the manufacturer, the suppliers helping me as well. They recommended the guys. So we did a fantastic job. I did everything I told her I was going to do and was able to walk and move forward, without feeling like I wasn't able to finish the project. And even though as challenging as it was, and I was scared a lot, we did it. I did it, so that was a cool, interesting learning situation in my life that I realized, just keep doing the right thing and don't quit, don't give up.
Right. It's true because you finished it. You found a way to get it done, even though
Right.
the lady maybe have not been that understanding at some time, but you
Right.
know, sometimes it works out like that. It
Yeah.
doesn't work.
It's easy to get like sucked and trapped into like fear. And I was there for a little bit, just 'cause I didn't understand what was going on, and the challenges at the time were just difficult. But I just never quit. I said, no matter what, I have to do this. I'll figure it out. I had the right people helping me, and we made it happen. So it was a blessing.
Nice. Since you've closed down Karma Roofing, you've
Yes.
moved into the consulting side of it.
Yes, I have. I realized it took me a while, going through that process of shutting the business down. And like, I would ask myself, like, is this really what I want to do? Do I still want to be in this industry? So much has changed, good, bad. Um, it's just storm damage and insurance claims has gone like, in a different place in the state of Florida with
Mhm.
legislation and lawsuits. So it going through that challenge, I had to like really just kind of look within and find my reclaim my power and what I wanted to do. So I found myself creating a bunch of new ideas of ways to help the industry. And I started consulting instead of just working for another roofing company or restarting another one, my own. I started consulting for other companies locally, so I can still have my foot in the door as a roofing salesperson consultant. I realized I know a lot. I've had, 13 years of experience in the industry. And so I'm not just a salesperson. I've owned the business. We did great. We went through challenges. We finished strong before we shut down. But I like the consulting thing because it gives me freedom to really help the homeowner, help the business owner at that point. I'm not tied to a roofing contractor. I saw a different way of doing things where I specialize in this, and if I can help you and you understand the process, then you can choose any roofing contractor you really want. Honestly, I give them like 3 to 5 to choose from, and it works because they feel like they're not, tied to one company. They have the power. It's their choice. They're not forced to sign with you, and just because you're either a good salesperson or great with words or whatever the case is, they have a choice and they get to choose.
That sounds really neat. So you go to the homeowner and then you have, I'm imagining some type of agreements with other roofing
Right.
contractors who can do the work.
Yes.
So, and then they pay you directly or the roofing company pays you?
The roofing contractor would pay me. I would negotiate our splits and stuff with them. And I did that strategically because I know being in the industry for so long, not everybody does this thing great. Insurance roofing is not easy. So I handpicked the best contractors to work with that I know understand this. We've been colleagues for a long time, more than 10 years, and we've helped each other out in all types of situations. So they were the trustworthy contractors that I would hand over to the homeowner. Say, hey, pick one. They have all of them have like probably 4.6 to 5-star reviews on Google. But do your own research and feel free to come back to me and whoever you'd like to choose, and that's how I did it.
Thanks so much for listening and joining us. If you haven't already, please share, subscribe, and like our episodes and our podcast. Also, leave a review. It will be so helpful to us, and we would so appreciate it. Also, if you want to join us at any time, we're open to any guests joining us in person and on Zoom. We post and record episodes bi-weekly, so that's twice a month. Also, they're posted on our socials, which is Facebook, Secured Insurance Group, Instagram, Colleen Insurance Lady. This podcast was hosted by myself, Miss Colleen Pacheco, and recorded and produced and edited by Sean Spazzato. Our podcast cover art was designed and created by Norma Pacheco, and our intro and outro music is created by Lounge Bar by Geronic. Goodbye.